welcome back to another episode of Colony Drop, a Gundam podcast. My name is Brian.
And my name is Isaac. This is your favorite Gundam podcast where we talk about anything and everything that's related to Gundam, whether that's Gundam music, Gundam lore, Gundam movies, anime series, manga, you name it, we talk about it. And not to forget, the Gunpla, which is pretty major. Kind of the reason for it all, if you think about it.
Yeah.
Isn't that right, Brian?
The Gunpla is the fuel that feeds the fire, Isaac. It's very important.
Every animated series, anything animated you've seen, has existed to sell plastic.
So today we have a very special show. Mobile Suit Gundam SEED Freedom finally came out on Netflix, so we were finally able to close that chapter of our life, Isaac, where we had only seen 30 minutes of the film, and we were actually able to finish the full film.
That's right. Listeners, as you recall, we went to go see it in theaters, like a lot of you probably did. We were very excited. We got a dubbed movie of Gundam released in theaters here in the United States. How rare. What a red letter day. And guess what happened? Not even halfway through, a third of the way through the movie, the power cuts out. And then they restart the film, 20 minutes later, and we're like, okay, good, we got to watch it again. And, and then the power cuts out. No, they rewind it like 20 minutes. But then it's continuing. And then, again, the power cuts out again. Just a little bit further into the movie. And then at that point, they told us it's over. Everybody leave. Something happened to the block, like the power transistor on the block.
Cut your losses. It's time to go home. Yeah, they sent us home, so it wasn't super great. It wasn't a great experience. For the amount of time that we were able to see the film, great experience. And then it came to a screeching halt, and we were just left, edging the rest of the night. So
the experience matched our food choices for the screening, didn't it, Brian?
Yes. There's a whole episode about it. You can go back and listen to it if you'd like.
So, Brian, I take it you saw this with Netflix, right?
Yes. And so, once again, listeners, this is Mobile Suit Gundam SEED Freedom. Came out in Japan January 2024. Theatrical. In the U.S., came out in March. Theatrical. It is now September and is finally making its way to Netflix. And ironically, Isaac, you must just be laughing your ass off. I don't know if you noticed this, but when you went to Netflix to watch it, it is only available in the dub. And people are hot. People are pissed. And I thought to myself, Isaac doesn't give two craps. He is happy as a clam right now.
Of course. I don't care about you dub people being sad that you can't hear the spoken Japanese and can't read the English text at the same time. Who cares? And you know what's even funnier, Brian? I didn't even watch this on Netflix. Because as we all know, I support, how do we put this? The shadowy alleys of the internet where anime can be found.
But don't you subscribe to Netflix?
Yeah, but I wanted the alternative experience.
Oh my God.
I mean, there's some of our listeners don't have Netflix, right? Because they raised their prices.
Yeah.
So let me just let you know. I did this as a service to our listeners. You can always find new anime in the dark corners of the internet.
It's like that quote from Sin City. I think I've said this before when Marv is like, if you walk down the right back alley in Sin City, you can find anything. And that's true of the internet. Just don't go down the super back alleys that are too dark,
Just the shadowy ones, not the pitch black ones.
Just, it might be like one street light on. So, all right, Isaac, here's a log line. There's not very many good log lines available for this film online. I don't know if that's because the English Blu-ray is not released yet, but here's the best one I could find, which is still not great.
Let's hear it.
In Cosmic Era 75, the fighting still continues. There are independence movements and aggression by Blue Cosmos. In order to calm the situation, a global peace monitoring agency called Compass is established with with Lakoose as its first president.
Lakoose!
As members of Compass, Kira and his comrades intervene into various regional battles. Then a newly established nation called Foundation proposes a joint operation against a Blue Cosmos stronghold. That's pretty fair. That's about what we saw in the theater, right?
Yeah, pretty much. It's the follow-up and continuation of Gundam SEED Destiny, I should say.
Yeah.
As you know, this takes place after the multiple Bloody Valentine Wars. We're not in the Universal Century, we're in the Cosmic Era. We've got Kira, Jesus Yamato, and we're off to the races. Now, Brian and I are aware that there's lots of manga series for Gundam SEED and Gundam SEED Destiny, but we didn't read any of the prequels to this. We didn't read any of the sequel mangas to Gundam SEED Destiny. Our world for Cosmic Era is pretty much just Gundam SEED and then Gundam SEED Destiny.
We're a more normal, happy fan for SEED things, right? Like
Yeah.
We just go in and eat our popcorn. We don't get too mad at the little things. We're like we do in the Universal Century. We're like, well, hold on. There was that, thing over here where like that guy's helmet doesn't look right in continuity,
Yeah, it contradicts the lore.
Yeah, like, did you see his uniform? They did not draw the patches correctly.
We have to do a canon debate and decide what's canon now.
That's right. But so I think one thing to mention, Isaac, a lot of listeners might be aware of this, but I do think it's pertinent to bring up. In terms of background facts about this film, Seed and Destiny, they were created by this sort of husband and wife team. I might be oversimplifying this a little bit, but
I don't think you are at all.
The wife, Chiaki Morisawa, she was the writer, and the husband, Mitsuo Fukuda, he was the director. And so for those of you who saw the film in theaters, Mitsuo Fukuda was one of the people you saw in the pre-roll where he was talking about the movie.
Was he the gentleman decked out in Gundam SEED merch?
Absolutely. He was the one decked out in all the premium Bandai Strict G merchandise, like that big old jacket that cost like, $500. That was him. Yeah.
They put him in $200,000 or 200,000 yen worth of merchandise.
But after Destiny ended, they started development on this movie in 2006. But then
oh my God.
Morisawa, the wife, unfortunately she became very ill, which postponed the project seemingly indefinitely. And unfortunately, she did pass away in 2016 from heart issues. So after her death, Fukuda, he started working on the project again, basically determined to finish it. So, no matter how you feel about Seed as a Gundam timeline, as Seed's corner of the Gundam franchise, this is quite the passion project for the director, for Fukuda. And I'm sure, if you watch the movie, you can tell that he poured pretty much all of his love into Seed, into the film that he could. And I'm sure he was trying to finish this come hell or high water, Isaac. Because, it was probably the last thing that him and his wife, I would imagine, would have worked on. And something they probably talked about significantly before she passed. So
yeah, this sounds like this man, since 2006, fought through development hell to get this thing actually finished and on screen.
I don't think Sunrise was stopping him. I just think they didn't want to do too much of it without her. And obviously, if she's sick, it's not going to be difficult.
If this started in 2006, then this has rivaled like the work of like legacy directors like Francis Ford Coppola.
Right.
Oh God,
it's so sad though. But so rest in peace, Chiaki Morisawa.
When did she pass?
2016.
Wow. And it only came out now. Okay.
Yeah, I mean, there was COVID there, so I'm sure that
and then plus, I'm sure, I wonder if he had mixed feelings, too, about continuing. Or maybe not even so much mixed feelings, but, like, how do you go on to complete something when, she was there along the whole way trying to complete it also?
Yeah, it's got to be hard, right? I mean, it's...
Yeah, you're rowing the canoe by yourself.
Yeah, it's got to be cathartic, but also painful and nostalgic, sort of all at the same time. So... who knows what that guy's thinking, but I'm glad he, got to finish his story.
He needs more merch.
So everybody go out and buy some Seed Freedom Gunpla in memory of Morisawa.
Get the $500 imported jacket from Bandai.com.
So anyway, with that, I don't think we're going to do a point-by-point summary of the story, Isaac, because I think that would actually take longer than actually just watching the film. At times, this film moves at kind of a breakneck pace. So I have a list of discussion points. I'm sure you do too. I figure we'll just go through them.
Oh, yeah.
I'll start us off, Isaac.
Sure.
As I started this movie on Netflix, a little bit of sadness washed over me because, I rewatched the movie from the beginning. It's not like I went and started the movie from where it got cut off, right? And so right away I was already like, man, this is like not as cool as seeing it in a movie theater. And I really wish that I could have seen the rest in a movie theater because I feel like it would have been that much better.
Same.
And I really wish all Gundam fans who are watching this could see it in a movie theater. So that's a bit of a bummer.
I thought you were sad because you weren't holding in your hands a Parmesan chicken sandwich.
I was so happy that I was
not
had been
holding burnt for 10 minutes longer than it should.
God, it was the worst. I have not had a chicken parm sandwich since that incident. It's going to take me a while to recover.
I haven't had a meatball sub sandwich since, and I don't want to have any type of Italian sandwich for a while.
A little bit of PTSD is still getting us, so.
I apologize to the people of Italy and Italian-American cuisine.
There is someone in California murdering your cuisine.
We need a break. Burning it to a crisp. like a beam weapon.
But that said, I think the movie is the right format for Seed. Movies have obviously shorter runtime, and I think that honestly would have solved a lot of Destiny's problems, where it just kind of felt bloated. And that's kind of what films do. They solve that issue. You have a limited amount of time, generally less than 2 hours. You got to get in, get out, say what you're going to say. There's no fluff. And you really feel it in this movie. It moves very fast. So I think it was smart to make this a movie and not like another 50-episode series.
It's funny you mentioned that, Brian, because now that you and I have both seen the movie, I think we can both agree that the beats of this movie were essentially a season of Gundam.
Yeah.
And in many ways, it made me realize, oh my god, Seed and Destiny could have been turned into movies, and this could have been turned into a series. Not necessarily a great series,
right.
But absolutely, we had our pyramid, reaching a climax, right?
Yeah.
The slope, on the left is where we start our story, everything's peaceful, and then we keep going up, and there's battles and fighting, and then we reach all the way at the end, and of course there's in space, and there's a super weapon, and then roll credits.
Yeah, they hit the Gundam act structure to a T.
Yeah, absolutely.
Arguably too fast, probably. I think towards the end of the movie, man, they went super fast and they got everybody in there and their mother. But yeah, they hit all the beats, that's for sure.
I had a few questions regarding the ending, but we'll get to that towards the end of this. But I absolutely agree. Things were going almost too fast. I started having questions raised during the story, which isn't necessarily a good thing. And they didn't have answers by the end of the story. So.
There's not a lot of answers in this movie, and I think that might be on purpose. I don't think they care. I think this is a fan service movie at the end of the day.
Sure, yeah. They wanted new suits on screen so people would buy the plastic. But there's some good, interesting turn of events that happened in the story. My notes, mine was stream of consciousness as I was watching the movie. So it's really just like one sentence per like every 10 minutes or whatever. Yeah. But, okay. What's your first discussion point?
I thought it was smart to start the movie with a battle. Just like Char's counterattack. It kicks you right back into it, and you don't have to ask a lot of questions. Even if you don't know a whole lot about Gundam, you're more immediately interested in the fact that they started out with a battle with all the characters. You get to see all the suits. It's a big battle. It's not a small battle. It gets to showcase the kind of hybrid animation, CG animation they have in the movie. So I really enjoyed that, and I still felt the same way when I rewatched it.
Yeah, it had really good animation. I also like that it starts with Blue Cosmos liberating a city from filthy coordinators, But yeah, it's a beautifully animated movie. None of the graphics themselves were kind of jarring or distracting. And it really meshed well with Seed and Destiny.
One thing that really threw me off, Isaac, once again, they dip into some Universal Century designs and they turn them into Cosmic Era designs. So in this movie, we get the Gyan and the GelGOOG.
Yeah.
However, they pronounce GelGOOG in here GelGOOG. It just like knocked me out of my seat, Isaac.
I mean, what hasn't been changed name-wise? The Doms and the Zaku, right? Those are still...
Yeah, those are still...
the same, yeah.
Yeah, when she was like, I have to go get my GelGOOG. I was like, oh, it's not where the emphasis is supposed to be.
Gundam emphasis heading up. Would you prefer to pronounce GelGOOG?
Oh, God, no. We should just...
It's spelled like gel.
That's true. I'll give you that.
Like the guy that invented GIFs and says they're supposed to be pronounced GIFs.
No, it's the other way.
No, it's the other way around.
Yeah. That guy's wrong. It should be GIF.
Wait, did you use a G?
That guy.
Okay.
So one thing I thought that was odd, at least from my perspective, is a reaction I did not expect to have. Was that I think Seed is known for its near flawless music catalog. But the Freedom song, the title track, I was a little lukewarm on. That was the one that goes like, Freedom! You know that one?
Was that the opening?
Yeah, they play it. I don't remember exactly how many times they play it.
Right.
I was kind of like, but taste is subjective, so.
Yeah, good point. I mean, I would say it engrossed me in the beginning, but since we're starting off, that's the intro song.
Yeah.
But I couldn't name another scene it played in besides that opening scene where they're dropping in from orbit to fight Blue Cosmos around that nameless Eurasian city. Yeah, I mean, they had a name, but who cares?
It's just Russia.
Yeah, it's just coordinators. They're not even people.
Out of all the other openings and endings, I couldn't really pick a bad one for the series. And then this being the title track, I was like, I kind of expected something more along the lines of the old songs. But it has been 20 years since those old ones, so I guess we've moved on.
Yeah, so you want something more kind of pop and a lot of rhythm and energy.
Yeah,
this was a bit more muted.
Yeah.
Yeah, I agree fully. Yeah, I mean, they're jumping into a battle, sure, but it's also like half a slaughter.
Yeah, battle is a loose term, right? Once Kira shows up, so
maybe they weren't like, yeah, it's time for the fun and the action. It was more like, oh, here we go again.
there's that damn Yamato kid out there.
Nothing really changes in this world. Blue Cosmos is still running around causing problems.
So my next question to you, Isaac, is did you notice, so they actually showed us the space whale skeleton again?
Yeah.
When we flashed to ZAFT. However, there was a big sign on it this time, which I don't remember being there before, and maybe I just missed it before. There's a sign that says replica object. Has it always been a replica? I thought it was the original one that Mr. Glenn brought back. Maybe I'm not remembering something from the show. Or maybe it got destroyed or something. But has it always been a replica? My whole life is a lie, Isaac.
That's a good question. I'd have to rewatch, but I don't remember there being any sign on it before saying that it was a replica. And I'm pretty sure the conversation that Lakoose's dad had with Patrick Zella in front of it, like they were talking like it was the real thing.
Right.
If you vaguely recall, they're like, oh, I forgot what they were saying. They were like, oh, the life in space, oh, George Glenn, and all that, blah, blah. But yeah, good eye for detail. I don't recall them saying it was a replica, but if it's labeled one now, we can only infer that in ZAFT's many coups, the original was destroyed.
Yeah, I mean, maybe I don't remember, exactly like where that is relative to other things. So perhaps it was implied to be destroyed in the shows, and maybe I should realize that at this point. So listeners, if you know the answer to this question, is it now a replica because the original one was destroyed? Like, am I supposed to make that connection? How tragic, Isaac. We lost the only evidence of extraterrestrial life.
I mean, ZAFT has other things to worry about than, like, the integrity and stability of their fossil samples because, as we both know, Brian, ZAFT is on, like, government number 5 in 3 years.
Yeah, they are not doing well.
God, they have so many coups. Like, they make a Latin American country blush, you know?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, if you take a step back, right? So, Seed took place in Cosmic Era 71, Destiny, Cosmic Era 73. This is Cosmic Era 75. Like, this whole thing takes place in your 4 years of high school, basically. From front to back. This is ridiculous.
Okay. There was ZAFT's original government. Then there was Patrick's coup. And then there was the other coup to take out Patrick. And then there was Durandal. And then there was this Durandal coup. And then there's like this government. And then this government gets couped. And then they have a revolution to topple that government. So there's been 8 different governments in 4 years.
It's unsustainable. The amount of events that have transpired are like realistically like 20 years worth.
Say what you will about like the Earth Alliance, the Atlantic Federation, and Omni and all that, even Blue Cosmos. But like there's a clear chain of command, and like they respect the transfer of power and things like that. You know? Oh my God.
ZAFT don't care.
No, you don't hear this nonsense happening on Earth.
So one of my biggest critiques of the film, and I have a feeling this is something that you have a question about too, is I thought Foundation was fine. Generally enjoyed them, or whatnot. But I think we didn't get a lot of answers about Foundation in terms of how they are so good and have all this good stuff. So they are described as having great technology and a great economy. As far as I know, the only explanatory sentence we got was someone said, oh, well, they had employed the Destiny plan. And I don't see how employing the Destiny plan for 2 years maximum can get you solar system traveling spaceships when you're an Earth side power. And how do you get mobile suits that are better than basically everything else that anyone else is making? Like that seemed very uneven to me, and I don't think like we got like a really good explanation. And maybe that's explained in some sort of background material or side story stuff. But I feel like it wasn't in the movie unless I missed it. And I definitely could have missed it because it does move very quickly. Did you have the same thought on that?
Absolutely. Well, first I wrote down Kingdom of Federation is a terrible name.
Yeah, that was an odd name. I agree, yeah.
That's like calling, I don't know, the Empire of Organization. He's like, come on, what a horrible name. Why couldn't you just think of like, make up generic European sounding name for Kingdom,
Do you think it was a reference to like the Isaac Asimov series called Foundation? I agree. It's an odd term to use as a
That's a
name.
stretch. I'd like to imagine it was a holdover from some other part of the story where they were like, oh, there'll be a scene where they explain like this will be the foundation of humanity's future.
Maybe that's what they were going for, the Destiny plan. I don't know.
Yeah, but I absolutely agree. How do they get the resources? I mean, we see them. They're a pretty small kingdom.
Right.
They're pretty much like a nice capital area and then surrounding it were slums.
Yes.
Where they apparently they gun down people at the drop of a hat.
Yes. What do you mean? You don't want to work as a janitor? That's what your genetics say you should be.
Yeah, my only headcanoning it on the spot would be, as we clearly see, they're working with ZAFT, if not almost a direct alliance with at least elements of ZAFT. So some funding was able to make their way over, and they can kind of say, oh, our economy is great, when really they're just getting funds and technology to build their own fleet and mobile suits from fellow coordinators.
Someone has to be helping them, because those Black Knight suits, I guess they don't have that many suits, but at the same time, they are literally the best ones on the battlefield, with the exception of the Strike Freedom, Infinite Justice, and the Destiny, the new versions of those. You know what I mean? So it doesn't make sense to me. I know I'm not supposed to think about that, like it's just sort of like fiated in as part of the plot, and you're just supposed to go with it. But I feel like that was a little strange.
I just headcanon that a lot of technology got transferred from ZAFT with their ally who was in the ZAFT Council.
Isaac, what about Lakoose's smorgasbord of food? I remember when we saw it live, you were just gushing.
I mean, it looked good if you're in the mood for like that type of food. You have to be in the mood for, well, as my friends know, I'm not always in the mood for Asian cuisine. But man, Lakoose cooked way too much food for her and Kira. Right?
Oh, absolutely. There's no way that Lakoose has ever consumed that amount of food in her life.
She must have been like, dude, nervous cooking. Like, that's her way of coping. She just keeps cooking and cooking and cooking.
Yeah.
I also thought it was weird that, like, they parked 2 motorcycles next to their kitchen table.
That was a little odd. They want to keep good care of them, you know. They keep them inside.
Sure. It's a rough neighborhood, right?
It's better than most people treat their dogs. They must be really expensive, too, because Lakoose and Kira, they definitely shop at, like, Whole Foods, or the Cosmic Era equivalent of Whole Foods. So they just wasted, a lot of money.
Plant foods.
Yeah. Yeah, plant food.
But it looked great. That's something else I noticed about this series, now that you mention it. Like, each time they zoom in on the food, it's very detailed.
Extremely, yeah. I believe Fukuda didn't he talk about the food in the theatrical cut, where he was like, we focus on the food to show what they would, make for each other because they love each other or something like that?
You know what? I'm going to read between the lines and say this was almost a throwback to him and his wife.
Oh, could be. I could see that, yeah.
They probably had a lot of food memories together or something, and he probably wanted to bring that, at least in some way, to the series, to the movie.
Yeah, I respect that. Okay, one character that just annoyed me to no end, Isaac, was Agnes. She was very manipulative. Maybe I'm just old. Maybe that's a normal thing for younger people these days. I do see a lot of that in reality TV contestants these days. But, like, after she makes a pass at Kira, shouldn't he, like, contact the equivalent of, like, Compass HR? Or are they too small of an organization to have, like, an HR department? Like, I feel like she needs to be fired after that. And then, 2, at the end of the film, like, she deserves a death penalty, right?
For treason?
Yeah.
Yeah, she does. But, like, I mean... Okay, good to your first question. Kira is not the type to rock the boat.
Sure.
We've all had these coworkers where if there's an incident or something, they just kind of put their head down and like go on with their day. They're totally blameless in the situation. They're in the right in the situation. They should escalate the situation, but they don't because they're little mouses, right? They're little mouse people, and they do that. They're kind of introverted and they take the mistreatment. But no, Kira absolutely should have reported it. This is bad for the squad dynamics. We have sort of a bizarre triple triangle situation in this whole movie.
Yes.
If you think about it. But yes, at the end as well, Agnes clearly joined the wrong side. She needs to be arrested, court-martialed, and punished to the full extent of ZAFT military procedure.
Yeah, I felt like when Luna defeated her, it was kind of like, all right, well, I defeated you. We can like kind of make up and be friends again. And I was like, no, this chick needs to go away in handcuffs for life and be put on the block.
Yeah, she was okay with like orb being destroyed.
Yeah, 100%.
She was okay with what happened to Moscow and all that whole Earth Alliance fleet that got destroyed,
Absolutely. Oh, speaking of Moscow, do you think it's a coincidence that they nuked Moscow, or do you think that's a political statement?
I think it might be not so much a coincidence, but like it was probably in the planning of the story all along.
You think so? Okay. I don't remember where their capital is like supposed to be, so maybe it's always been in Moscow and I just didn't realize that.
Yeah,
but
right. But I mean, Eurasian Federation really didn't figure much into SEED and SEED Destiny, so I think now, since so much of the story really involves Eurasia, I think they had to like say, okay, well, we've been in this Federation for most of the story. Let's take out the capital when we actually use our weapon. And it's not like critical to the plot either, so it's okay if it gets wiped out. And it's a recognizable name. Why not do it?
Yeah. I think I said nuke, but yeah, they fired Requiem at Moscow, I believe. So I'm not sure which one's worse.
Oh man,
which one's worse? But
the way Requiem worked, I mean, what we had Cyclops, which causes people to pop. Requiem causes people to like incinerate in like on the spot.
This movie had at least 3 instances of like incinerations, right? The suicide bombers, and then the Requiems and the nuke. They got a lot of mileage out of their incineration effects.
Yeah, it's great. I'm all for it.
Speaking of Requiem, that's the new Grips 2, Isaac. Everybody gets a turn at the wheel of Requiem.
How is Requiem still around?
I don't know.
I thought it was destroyed.
I thought so too.
I guess the governments all thought so too.
When they brought up Requiem, I had this thought in my mind. I was like, I could have swore we destroyed that, but maybe I just didn't watch close enough. I guess it's back.
You had the same thought as like every government leader in the movie, like Requiem, but that weapon doesn't exist anymore.
Do you think they just looked at the screen and they were like, son of a Requiem?
Yeah, they're like, wait a minute, that hole in the moon's opening up.
We blew that thing up.
I thought we blew it up. Didn't we have a huge battle? Like, nope, we still got it.
Ay.
We're going to do the bouncy thing too with the laser.
Yeah, they left those operational too. How did no one inspect those?
Oh, God. It makes as little sense as, like, Requiem being brought back online as it did when Requiem was, like, created. Because if you remember in Seed Destiny, like, say what you will about Genesis in, like, Gundam Seed, but, like, let's at least mention, I think, a little bit before it's actually revealed.
Yeah.
In Seed Destiny, I think Lord Jabril was just like, we'll use Requiem. When he's like leaving his face.
Right.
We were like, what? You built this weapon and nobody knew that you were building a weapon on the moon?
Nope.
But here we are, and nobody knew that this tiny kingdom rebuilt this super weapon in space.
Exactly. How did they even get to the moon to do it? They have to be working with someone. They have to be paying off someone.
It's got to be that ZAFT guy that was all for launching his poorly manned coup.
Oh,
because as we see, it's not quite a coup if they can out-coup you.
That's true, yeah.
If they hit you with the Uno reverse card and then their troops kind of wipe you out too, like 30 minutes later.
Was that subplot necessary? Or was that just a way to get Dirka and Izak into the film?
That's a good question. So at first I thought the Federation only had like 3 ships.
Yeah.
It was like their mothership and then like 2 little destroyers. And I was like, oh, they're really relying a lot on Requiem. And then the coup happened in ZAFT, and I was like, well, I guess now they have all of ZAFT on their side, so now ZAFT's the villains. But I don't know. Yeah, Dirka and Izak were very late additions.
Oh,
and even Izak's mom showed up.
Did she? See, I don't even know. I think you have to watch this film
twice,
probably 3 to 5 times before you see everything, especially in the last half hour. Because there are cuts, Isaac, that are like 2 seconds in this location, 3 seconds here, 5 seconds here. I was like, my head was spinning.
Get disoriented.
Altogether, I think we have like 4 to 5 hours worth of podcasts on those 2 shows. So like, I would say we've gone through those shows more than the average person. And I was still like, what was that thing again?
Yeah, weird turn of events and a lot of questions raised about the Kingdom of Foundation. I'm not sure it was the best way to go. It would have been more believable if there was like an evil orb faction. You know, then we could have been like, oh, you know what? Of course there was a shadowy group in Orb. Or, ooh, there was a member of Logos in Orb who never got caught. Oh,
yeah. Yeah, they didn't really bring back Logos. That'd be kind of cool, yeah.
No, Logos is gone. Well, unless you consider
and Blue Cosmos,
Mikhail.
I guess, yeah.
Yeah, Mikhail, what's left of Logos.
Well, okay, but I read today on the wiki that Mikhail, he died, I think, in the nuke. I didn't even catch that on the screen. Apparently, there's a screenshot. It says nuke? Mikhail dying in the nuke, and I was like, oh, I guess that's him. But he's very nondescript. You really only see him like once. So if you see like a random dude get incinerated, you're not really going to know it's Mikhail.
No.
But I mean, just because he's gone doesn't mean Blue Cosmos is gone. Like at the end of the movie, we didn't really stop Blue Cosmos. Like they're still out there on the lam. Like someone needs to go stop Blue Cosmos. They clearly have extra Destroy Gundams available.
Mikhail is just one person in the long line of Blue Cosmos leaders. We went from Azrael to Jabril, and then now we're at Mikhail. There's more to come.
They never.
General Isaac's on the way.
It's like Hydra. You cut one off,
Yeah, there's always going to be Blue Cosmos people as long as there's coordinators.
If they keep killing them, one day you will be head of Blue Cosmos, and you.
Very soon, Brian, and I will be unstoppable because I won't make any of these mistakes.
Just nuking everything. Just launch the whole arsenal.
I'll design mobile suits that can operate without heads, and I'll send them against Kira.
What are you gonna do now, Kira? That's actually a great idea.
It's a brilliant idea. It's like, oh my god, they're still fighting. What's going on?
You won't know what to do.
I guess you'll have to kill them, won't you, Kira? But you can't do that, can you?
Just can't bring himself. Then you just gotta solve what to do about arms and legs. Maybe you can make like I don't know.
It's a flying torso.
Yeah, just a flying torso, yeah.
Send out the torso.
He wouldn't know what to do. Oh, man. So one thing that really confused me, also kind of related to the Kingdom of Foundation, I guess. So their queen is Queen Aura. Her full name is Queen Aura Maha Kyber, I guess. We get this like real quick shot of her working with Lakoose's mother. And we're told that they were working on the Accords. We haven't talked about the Accords yet, but the Accords are basically a new type of coordinator that were supposed to be better than the other coordinators. Kind of like Kira, but not the same. And they can have telepathy and all this stuff. Anyway, in that flashback, Isaac, Queen Aura, she looked like a normal person, right? How did she get small again? Because, like, they don't tell you that, oh, that Queen Aura is Orphe Lam Tao's mother until the end, and that she was the one working with Lakoose, who you saw in the flashback earlier, but you didn't. And unless I totally misinterpreted the picture, I would never have suspected that, because in the picture, she looked like the same height as Lakoose's mother, but now she's, like, short again. So did she de-age herself, or what happened there?
Yeah, that's a great question. That was one of my two big questions that I had for the end. What exactly was going on with her? Did she reverse age herself? Or was this a cloned girl? This queen was a cloned girl with the memories of the original scientist? It was never actually explained. I was waiting for the explanation. I thought they were going to do like a Raul the Crusade style flashback explanation.
Right.
Where, you know, the queen's with Lakoose and she's like, you know, this has been in the planning for a long time with Durandal. You know, look, I have pictures of him, Durandal holding the kid's hands.
Yeah.
I thought that was weird. And that was never addressed. But I thought she was going to say the Destiny plan is so vital, I had to reverse my age in order to, you know, stay along to guide it. Or the Destiny plan was so vital, I had to implant my memories into my cloned body and grow up again.
Yeah.
But we never got the explanation. So it has to be one of those two. Take your pick, but to an extent it doesn't matter because the queen gets killed.
Yeah, that's true. She's done anyway. And for someone so mastermindy, she didn't really, I don't know, I feel like she didn't really have a good showing.
No, it was weird. Why did she go to the ship? Well, that's its old thing. Like, why did characters do certain things? Because, like, would you agree with me that if you were the queen, or in general, really speaking, never leave, like, Luna for a ship?
Yeah, I agree, yeah.
Anyone could destroy a ship, but almost no one can destroy, like, a fortress on Luna.
Right.
You know?
Unless they were, like, doing a coup and she needed to be at the place that they were taking over. That would be the only reason I could see her getting in and leaving and going somewhere. But otherwise, yeah, she should stay on the moon or stay on Earth and she would be fine.
But there was nowhere to go at that point, Brian, because her ally ZAFT had been re-cooed.
Sorry, I lost count of the coups.
Yeah.
Was this coup 7 or coup number 8?
I think this is 8. And then Kingdom of the Foundation had essentially arranged its own nuking. So she really had there's nowhere for her to go.
Oh, that's true. Yeah, she couldn't go back there. Yeah.
You have to stay on the moon at your base and, like, hope the engineers can fix the weapon.
Yeah, that was kind of strange. Yeah, maybe there's some backup info that explains that, but I thought that was weird. So I'm correct in assuming you also did not hear an explanation in the film, right?
Yeah, I also want some lore on Lakoose's mom. I was like, how involved was she in this? And we've never heard anything on that till now.
Right, and if you go to the wiki,
You know?
she still doesn't even have a name. Her name is just Lakoose's mom. I'm not joking. It says Lakoose, Lakoose Klein's mother. That she doesn't have a name.
Did you think Siegel, like, ever sat her down and was like, your mom had a lot of weird ideas. I don't really like to talk about it. She had ideas with some guy named Durandal and some kind of plan.
Yeah, this is very odd. If you were going to give Lakoose family lore, like, this was the movie to do it, right?
Just focus on your music, honey. You got a great voice.
Stick to your strong suit.
Yeah. Don't worry about your mom. She was a bit of a nut and a lab rat.
What do you think about the Accords in general? Like, isn't that kind of like a weird thing?
Oh, God.
Like, it's fine in the movie or whatever, but if you stop and think about it for a sec, it's like this other ultimate coordinator that's not quite Kira that was made by someone else, but it was developed at the same time as Kira. And if you read the wiki, it says like, oh, they traded information with the guy who developed Kira, who was named like Professor Hibiki. But they weren't working together, but they were just kind of working. They just happened to be working at the same time. And so it's just very awkward. I don't know.
Yeah, it's out of left field, and I didn't like it that much. It became very Brave New World, where like now we have the aristocratic class of genetically engineered people above everybody else.
Right.
Even the other genetically engineered people. So I was like, this is kind of weird. Now we're getting a little double O. Now we have like Innovades.
Yes.
And
oh, yeah, very similar.
that came out of nowhere. Yeah, they just came off the left side of the stage, and now they're here. And I was like, this isn't working too well. And I don't really like it. Really, these two were engineered to be the rulers of humanity. Prime Minister guy and Lakoose. Prime Minister guy can't really even win a battle, you know? They're really relying on, I wrote this down later, we'll get into this later maybe, but they're really relying on Requiem. This whole plan had a single point of failure, and that was Requiem.
Yeah, because really they only had the 6 Black Knights or whatever, if you count Orphe Lam Tau, right? So eventually one of them's going to get hit.
Yeah, they really needed that ZAFT coup to work out, and it kind of did. ZAFT had a big fleet, but...
Yeah, for like 5 minutes.
Yeah, as usual with ZAFT, the moment the government changes, the troops, they kind of change with it.
Those troops are not dedicated to anything, man.
I'll say this about ZAFT's military. They're loyal to the government, not necessarily the legitimate government,
right,
though.
Yeah.
So whoever manages to take control of the government, legally or illegally, you're in control of the military and they'll answer to you. But the moment you lose control, they're not going to take orders from you.
Yeah, they're loyal to whoever's stamping the paycheck.
Yeah, whoever's sitting in front of that chair giving a speech, they'll take your orders.
This made me laugh because I think it was in one line of the film. Did you hear them say the words N-Jammer Dazzlers?
No, I heard N-Jammer. Oh, God, what was it? More towards the beginning, right? I didn't hear Dazzler. They said Dazzler?
Like beginning or middle. Yeah, it was. I forget exactly what battle it was, but there was someone who said one comment about the N-Jammer Dazzler, and I was like, hold on. I was like, I heard that. What did you do? What did you just put in this movie? What did you just Band-Aid over? Because we had N-Jammers and we had N-Jammer Cancelers. Now we have N-Jammer Dazzlers. And I looked up the N-Jammer Dazzler today. Because they didn't explain it. They just mentioned it in like a line of dialogue. The wiki is very short. It doesn't have much information. It just says a spin-off of N-Jammer technology, which allows the jamming of even advanced communication technologies used to cut through N-Jammer interference. That's it. So the phlebotinum is strong with this one, Isaac.
Was this when the Queen's command center in space lost communication? That might have been it.
Might have been it, yeah. Okay,
that was it when they were storming Requiem, and for no reason the Queen lost communication, and now they're crippled.
N-Jammer Dazzler.
They dazzled us.
Got dazzled.
We'll add that to the list of anything N-Jammer related, including Neutron Stampeders.
Yes. Oh, the Neutron Stampeder. That would have been great for this movie.
Ironically, Earth would have benefited the most from the Neutron Stampeders by, having them around Earth when there were nukes flying around so they can detonate them before they reach cities. But no, Earth rarely learns lessons.
There were quite a few deaths in this film, Isaac. That said, the biggest character death, in my opinion, was the Archangel.
Wow, yeah.
And I kind of actually thought that it was a little anticlimactic because the Archangel kind of died, or died. It got destroyed, I'll say.
Yeah.
In the second act, and I kind of wish if the Archangel was gonna go out, it should have come at like the climax of the movie, like when Ramius is ramming the Millennium into the Foundation ship at the end with the thing.
Sure.
I feel like she should have been doing that in the Archangel and sacrificed the Archangel that way instead of the Archangel just getting gunned down and then getting nuked. I don't know. I felt like it was a little anticlimactic. I mean, I like the Archangel. We've watched the Archangel for 100 episodes now. I have no real attachment to the Millennium, so I'm kind of shocked that they didn't have the Archangel go out in the climax of this battle.
Yeah, I agree. It was a little sad seeing it go, to be honest. And I know I'm generally anti-good guy, but it's a great-looking ship. It's got a lot of memories. It's a Mu and Ramius' ship, really,
right,
at this point, which is awesome because I think they're some of the best characters in the whole Cosmic Era.
Yeah.
But to the Archangel's credit, it had to be killed twice.
That's true.
First, they damage it to the point where, like, I had no idea it could do this. Ramius is like, jettison the back.
Oh, yeah.
And then, like, we'll just kind of crash land in the front half. And then after that, Actually, no, 3 times. Because then, like, a Black Knight shows up and tries to shoot the bridge while everyone's escaping, and that still doesn't destroy it. And then finally a nuke goes off nearby and wipes out whatever's left of the Archangel.
Yeah, because in my mind I was like, oh, maybe they'll fix it. Maybe they'll fix it. It's kind of like that.
Nope.
It's like that episode of The Simpsons when Homer's like, it's still good, it's still good. But no, it finally bit off more than it could chew with that nuke.
Yeah, but maybe it would have been better if it did live to the end and it sacrificed itself against that massive flagship. Because comparing the 2 ships, I'm not a Millennium fan. I think it's pretty much the Minerva.
Yeah, you were not a fan of the Minerva, right? It's called a Super Minerva class.
Okay,
So.
that's shocking because it's the Minerva again. The bridge is not very Gundam. In Gundam, there's something about the bridges. We all know how they look. They're all much more panoramic. They have higher windows. They have a different layout. The Millennium's bridge is not a Gundam bridge.
There you have it. That's all the information you need on the Millennium.
And that's it.
Yeah, I think if you like the Minerva, then you're going to like the Millennium. And I feel like more people like the Archangel, so I was a little shocked that they went with the Minerva.
Yeah.
But, you know, whatever. I guess if people like it, that's cool. I was sad to see the Archangel go, and I think that was the biggest character death. Other than that, though, your Dom team, 2 of them died, I believe. So that was a little sad.
I don't care.
Zero care from Isaac.
I want more of them to die.
Those bootleg TriStars, 2 of them died.
Who cares? They didn't even use Toms, did they?
No, they did not. I forget. Were they in
No.
GelGOOGs or the Gyons or something like that? Yeah, they were not in their DOMs.
The Blue GelGOOGs, I think.
Oh, was it? Okay.
Whatever. 2 of them got killed in fighting some knight or something when they realized their weapons were useless against the shields.
Yeah, they didn't do too well. That was unfair. Those suits were too good. So we talked about this once before. Now you've seen the whole movie. Seed and Destiny has a very distinct art style, and that art style was very popular in the mid to late 2000s and has since sort of fallen out of style, but they have not really changed the character designs. And that style has like very big eyes. It's just kind of like a different, I don't know, eye ratio to the face. It didn't really bother me much, although there were like a few characters where I thought they were a little uncanny valley.
Yeah.
Mayrin was the one that did it for me. We see her in this film, she's a little more grown up, but man, she looked like she had too much Botox and she was like an alien. Like I kind of barely recognized her.
Yeah, I didn't have any problems with her. It was actually one scene, I think towards the end, when the fortress or whatever fancy room with a piano, they shoved Lakoose in. They do a lot of close-ups of her face.
Oh, yeah.
I think it's what she saved from blue-haired Accord. They do zoom-ups of her face, and it just... something about her eyes. They started seeming too big, like a caricature.
Yeah.
I don't know if that was for effect or whatever. Maybe they had to enlarge them because she was, emotional and teary-eyed. But yeah, that one scene was the only one that bothered me. Everything else I thought was pretty good animation, or at least, passable enough that I didn't really think about it.
Speaking of the blue hair, I believe her name was Ingrid. She was the Accord that was Orphe Lamtau's sort of substandard girlfriend, I guess. I feel like she got it the worst in the film, Isaac. I don't feel like she deserved to die.
No, she was like physically abused
she
too.
was.
But like
she's like a battered woman.
She seemed the most reasonable.
Right.
She was going along with the plan, but I mean, ultimately, yeah, she's with the Foundation, so she's an enemy. But definitely seemed like the most redeemable of the Black Knights, you could say.
Right. You could tell Lakoose wanted to help her, and so I thought that was a little strange that she ended up getting incinerated too. But so it goes.
Yeah, she actually didn't seem as bloodthirsty as all the knights.
Yeah, exactly.
And the Prime Minister, the Queen. She was the only one that was like regretfully into the plan.
Right. Yeah. So the movie's called Mobile Suit Gundam SEED Freedom. I think that could be applied in a variety of ways to the film. I guess that's the theme. Freedom to choose your path, aka freedom from the destiny plan. That's what the characters are fighting for. Freedom for Kira and Lakoose, I guess, to like publicly love each other. That's kind of what the end was about, right? Like they get naked on the beach at the end and they're just like, look, we're doing it here.
Let me say this. They didn't have to fight that hard against the Destiny plan because all they really had to do was fight one battle to end this whole plot. Whereas in the last 2 series, they had to fight like a war to actually stop all the fighting.
That is true. Because I think Lakoose is the one that says it, where she's like, you don't love people because they're needed. You need people because you love them. So, like, do you think they set out what they accomplished to do with this freedom theme?
I mean, as much as they can in Gundam, yeah, because Gundam often does these very sort of ham-fisted morality, hitting you over the face with it. So yes, they accomplished the goal, Brian. They told us the true freedom is choosing who you love. And
right.
You don't have to fall in love with someone who's genetically engineered to be your match, like the evil Prime Minister.
Yep.
So yes, mission accomplished there. you'll have the freedom to take off your flight suit and walk around naked on a beach.
Yep.
We're definitely free from the plotting of the Destiny plan, because no one's going to be siding with that plan now. At least when Durandal rolled it out, he wasn't like shooting lasers at Earth.
That's true.
You know, like he might have taken out a fleet, or a military base, but he wasn't threatening the planet itself. The Queen and the Kingdom Foundation, they really kind of, by the end of the movie, Blue Cosmos has never had a better argument for why coordinators are bad. Because we just saw the coordinators have created this sort of secret ruling class of coordinators, and they're terrible. They're going to try to, destroy city after city that doesn't agree with them.
Yeah, they were actively trying to take over the world, essentially. So
not only that, but the plants have shown that, we'll absolutely join up with them and support the Destiny plan. Oh my God, we can't support the plants anymore. Look how ready they are to go back to the Destiny plan. This is Destiny plan part 2. How many times do we have to go through this before we realize it's not a good idea? Again, the plants are just a mess with their coups and how eager their people and military are to side with the Destiny plan, which is incredibly stupid because so many coordinators died during this whole situation. Not even discounting Blue Cosmos, but in space, when they were fighting the fleet that joined up to help out Kingdom of Foundation, it was all coordinators that died. That was all ZAFT people. That was all Foundation people. They were all coordinators. And now they're all dead.
At the end of the podcast, we will give out Isaac's campaign schedule for the Blue Cosmos elections. You can catch him at any of the dates that he lists at any of the locations.
I'll be speaking at every anime convention telling about how we're going to preserve our blue and pure world against the filthy coordinators. The only good coordinator is dead coordinator.
Oh, boy. That's the end of my substantive notes. What do you got on your list, Isaac?
So mine was just a line by line as I was watching on one screen and taking notes on the other. My opening line, of course, is Blue Cosmos, once again liberating a city from the filthy coordinators. I also wrote, I'm filled with so much rage and disgust. Why didn't Blue Cosmos bring nukes? It was a great question. They could have really ended that city in one blast. But
that's true.
Destroy Gundam, it looked really beautiful in this movie, even partially armless.
I like that they brought the Destroy Gundam back. That was a great decision.
Yeah. Destroy Gundam is such an improvement over the Psycho Gundam. It's everything a massive, threatening Gundam should be. They really kind of Godzilla'd it.
I mean, Destroy has, 20 more years worth of design philosophy poured into it, so I understand.
I'm still wondering why people were hiding in front of the cathedral and that first attack of the city instead of inside it. You caught that, right?
I did, yeah.
I think writing-wise, they were like, well, they have to see the mobile suits attacking them. Like, if they're inside the building, they're not going to see it.
Yeah. Maybe they went outside to go see what the commotion was, but I don't know.
Let me take my children outside.
Never a good idea.
To see what the commotion is as the city's under attack. Compass. I wrote that it's a terrible name. We'll put it right up there with Faith and Preventer. What do you think, Brian?
I mean, I get what they were going for. They're probably like moral compass or like, guiding the world in a certain direction. I don't think it's the worst name. I think it's probably better than Preventer, probably better than Faith. Faith was a weird name in general.
Yeah. I'll say this about Compass. It's better than Faith because everybody knows who is in Compass and what Compass is. Like, Compass communicates directly with the governments and stuff. Faith, as you recall, like, the only way you know someone's in Faith is if they walk up to you and tell you, I'm with Faith.
Yeah, and they have that little badge, and they're like, I can do what I want.
Yeah.
I guess that's why it's called Faith, because they're putting their faith in those people. So, they have carte blanche to do whatever they want.
Which is a terrible way to do things.
Didn't end well for Hein Westenflus, or whatever his name was.
Mr. Orange, he's gone.
Mr. Orange.
And then, this should have been a sign of things to come, especially towards the end, because Compass shows up to save that city in Eurasia, and then they start doing so well that, like, the ZAFT side starts, like, really attacking the Blue Cosmos side, and then Compass has to, like, start fighting both sides because Compass wants to just stop the fighting in general. Do you remember that?
I do, yeah, and it really felt like the world either didn't take Compass seriously or Compass was making itself out to be more than what it was.
Yeah, felt very much like nothing had changed since the last movie, which is another point about, nothing had changed since the last series, which is kind of a point I thought that I've reached now that we've talked about this movie. This was essentially just another Bloody Valentine War, and it ended exactly the same way. There was fighting on Earth, then they go into space. A lot of places, and the planet are in peril with a super weapon. They defeat the super weapon. And then now we're back to peace.
So ironically, what you're saying is that because coordinators attacked again, in such an arrogant manner that they made coordinators specifically to rule, everyone else. The most logical sequel to this is that the plants and the Earth should fight yet again.
Pretty much. I mean, how many times are we going to go through another situation where the coordinators start another war or cause more problems because they think they're genetically superior? We're stuck on this plot line. The Destiny plan has become a curse. There's going to be more wars.
I'm actually very surprised that they leaned into the Destiny plan as hard as they did.
Yeah.
I thought we would just never talk about the Destiny plan because, as we've discussed before, the Destiny plan was perhaps not well thought out and clearly didn't work. So.
Yeah, the whole point of the final episodes of Seed Destiny was that they defeated the Destiny plan. But apparently, I guess the diehard Accords thought they could force it if they had Requiem, which is really what this plan comes down to. But the issue, of course, with the plan is once you lose Requiem, the plan's done. Because there's no way to enforce it.
Yeah, they don't have the forces to back it up, right? I mean, they've got 6 dudes, Requiem, and a big ship.
Yeah, the only people that are pro-Destiny plan, as we saw when they announced it at ZAFT, are people of ZAFT.
Right.
Because everybody there was all smiles, which is horrible that ZAFT is okay with this plan. That should show that Blue Cosmos was right all along, Brian.
Well,
we can't have peace with the plants in ZAFT.
I'm just going to say, you've been preaching this for years. Maybe you're onto something. I don't know.
Am I right? Am I right? Listeners, I'm right. Comment below that I'm right. Okay, also, it was great to see Ramius and Moo. As soon as I saw them walk in, I was like, okay, I might like them the most in this series, or this movie, because I'm not going to like Kira and Atherin. I'm probably not going to like any new characters. and they killed all my favorite Blue Cosmos characters. So I'm with Team Ramius and Moo, and they better not hurt them or kill them. And they didn't, of course. Ramius somehow, by the grace of God, lived through that explosion. Because, when the bridge of the Archangel gets hit, it does not look like her, let alone the bridge crew that left, 3 seconds ahead of her, had time to escape, right? Because the whole thing explodes.
That chair that she took down, that, went down, right? That thing must have went down at about 500 miles an hour to get her ass out of that ship.
That must be like a titanium elevator shaft that chair is in. Because, man.
You know what it was?
How did she live?
That chair must be like the shafts that the original Voltron Force have in the original Voltron show. You know what I'm talking about? Where they travel to their lions underground in the metal chutes.
Sure, yeah.
That must be what her chair went into.
Oh, my God. I'll take it because, man. The Archangel was a heck of a ship.
It was so close, that beam may have given her a little bit of a haircut.
Yeah. I mean, she didn't look great when Boob finally picks her up.
No.
A lot of her clothes had been burned off.
She had boob armor damage. I don't know if you noticed that. But
conveniently, she's in shorts now.
Yeah, of course. I think Ramius had a good showing. I don't think Moo had a great showing. He showed up and did the Moo thing for yet a third time.
Oh, God.
At the end of the finale, which I thought was where I know we're doing the callbacks and stuff, but you already did the callback in Destiny. You don't get to do it again.
Not just that, but Moo, you got lucky once. Do you really want to roll the dice again? If there's it's one thing to get in front of a Lohengrin, right, which is a much smaller weapon,
right.
A much smaller beam from a capital ship, but getting in front of the Requiem, this thing is the size of a city. What are you doing?
Yeah, he must have a death wish because that's not a bright idea. I think all of this getting in front of beams has maybe screwed his brain up a little bit.
But that shield was made out of unobtainium, gold unobtainium, because all it does is bend beams, and boy, did it bend that beam and save Moo. Okay, what's next? Archangel looks beautiful. When I saw it coming in, I was like, that's not the Millennium. And then it got closer, and I was like, it's the Archangel. And I was happy to see it back. It's an old friend, just like Ramius and Moo, and it looked beautifully animated here. Great Archangel, beautiful on screen, which makes it even more tragic that it's gone.
Yep, and they blew it up, so sorry. I did read, though, that was one of the things that his wife wanted to be done. She wanted 2 things to happen in this movie.
Oh, my God.
I mean, obviously, she wanted a lot of things to happen in this movie, but I think 2 of the things that she demanded happen that had not happened yet was she wanted Atherin to punch Kira, which was a great scene, by the way.
Them fighting for 3 minutes.
Yeah. And then, and she also wanted to sink the Archangel.
Wow. Well, it does happen a lot to Gundam capital ships, and it did happen to the original White Base, so sure, we'll salute the Archangel now that it's gone.
Yeah, I think you got to sink it at some point, and this film was a good opportunity to do that. I just think it should be in the last battle, but...
Yeah, they did it right, too, where no hands were lost on the White Base, no hands were lost on the Archangel.
Oh, good observation. Did not realize that, yeah.
Next comment. What qualifies Lakoose to be president? She's a pop star. But you know what? I'm saying that here in the United States of America, where we recently had a reality TV star as president. So I don't think we have anything to say. Only Japanese listeners can answer that question, can say that question.
Maybe it's a satire on us, on the United States.
They both got kind of red hair. Huh?
There you go.
Shin's red eyes are demonic.
What'd you think about Shin in this?
Bloodthirsty Shin. I didn't like him. He kind of reverted to being like a spoiled child a lot of the time. You know, he's really emotional. I thought he kind of matured by the end of Destiny, but now he's kind of back to having like tantrums, you know, his little episodes.
I thought he was used kind of like a comedic character almost in this. Like, for someone who used to be a protagonist, felt very, I don't know. I mean, there's too many characters in this film. That's kind of the point, I guess. But
let's see how he laughs when the Prime Minister takes away his phone.
Yeah. I also didn't understand how his, because he got the Destiny back, obviously. I did not understand how those, like, after images worked. I felt like they were a lot more than after images in that last battle.
Yeah. Well, I don't know. I was like, at this point, I was like, okay, they're F9 wanting it. But then I was like, well, they really upgraded it.
Yeah, it felt like they were copies, like legit copies rather than just images. But
I was like, the Black Knights don't have like sensors to tell them what's a real mobile suit.
That last battle was like borderline magic anyway, right? Because you know, Lakoose was out there and telepathy going on. But anyway,
yeah, I wrote that Agnes is so childish for an ace pilot, and she pilots the Gion, which I had mixed feelings about. I liked the shield.
Shield was cool, yeah.
Thought the body itself looked kind of weird. A little Galahorn.
Yeah, we didn't talk about the mecha. I guess we should probably do that.
Sure.
For the Gion and the GelGOOG, I agree. The Gion shield was cool. That was probably an upgrade relative to the original design. But for the base design, I still like the originals better, I think. So, like, I feel like if you're not going to definitely improve upon it, like, why make it, you know? I think that was maybe another one of my criticisms of the film. I think I wanted more out of the mecha. How did you feel overall for the mecha, Isaac?
It was okay. I didn't expect a whole new arsenal of mecha just because it's a movie. How much can they cram in here? You know, a lot of it has to be recognizable. A lot of it's going to be holdovers. And there's not going to have a lot of room to do stuff except maybe like the villain mobile suit. I wasn't too worried about that. Animation-wise, I was glad to see it animated so beautifully. But overall, nothing to praise, but nothing to condemn.
I did like Orphe's mobile suit. I don't know how to pronounce the damn name. It's called the Cal-Re.A. I don't know how I'm supposed to say that. Caloria?
Let me pull it up here. Let me see what this looks like.
It's pretty regal looking. I like that that's different. That definitely looks like it would come from, you know, someone calling themselves the Kingdom of Foundation. So I get that. I just wish we would have saw a little more of it. It kind of just popped up at the very end, and then he kind of lost. Maybe if it had showed up 20 minutes earlier, I think that would have been cooler.
Sure.
What do you think of the Black Knights? I feel like they look like they should Voltron together.
I was about to say, they seemed like mecha from a different series. Not Zoids.
Yeah.
I thought Zoids for a second, and then I was like, not Beetleborgs. Like, this is...
It's like
something...
borderline Power Rangers, right?
Yeah, almost like Transformer Knights.
Yeah.
You know, like medieval formers. So, yeah, that's... they seemed like misplaced, but at the same time, I just kind of went along with it. Interesting about their sort of beam capes.
Oh, yeah.
Those were kind of cool, but also, like, they kind of broke the one toehold we have in... plausible science and physics in Gundam, but they were okay, I'll say that.
Yeah, they were fine.
The story-wise, though, if the plot was to kind of keep Kingdom of Foundation as sort of a mysterious enemy, Black Knights are obviously telegraphed as villains.
Certainly, yeah. You don't see those and be like, oh, what a good-natured society you must be.
Yeah. Black Knights also have uniforms of black and red. Black and red in the West are associated with pretty bad guys from recent history, from the last century.
That's true.
So those are bad guy colors now in almost every situation you see them.
Yeah.
I can't think of a situation where black and red are good. But that mobile suit is, yes, very much for a vain person who wants to see themselves as a savior king. I'm surprised he didn't go with black, but then again, black are his guards, not necessarily him.
Yeah, I thought they were serviceable for the story, but it's not like I would go out and buy them, I guess, which maybe that's the goal of the design. What about the freedom and the justice? I mean, we got the sort of bootleg versions in the beginning that don't use the nuclear reactors, they use the batteries, which then get destroyed, and then we go back to the infinite justice and strike freedom. I like the color better on the Immortal Justice. It's a more real red than the kind of magenta of the Infinite Justice. The Rising Freedom, I was kind of like, whatever. I think I like the Strike Freedom better. And then the Strike Freedom and Infinite Justice just came back. I don't know. I was expecting more upgrades to them. I know Strike Freedom gets the sexy spacesuit Lakoose backpack at the end, which just proves my theory that SEED is, Mobile Suit Gundam backpack. But that's a smart decision from a merchandise thing, because then you can still sell all your Strike Freedom model kits, and it's basically the same. You just have to put a new backpack on it.
Yeah.
I don't know. I was expecting them to have a little bit more cosmetic upgrade.
I mean, it would have been nice, but at the same time, I fully expected us to do Gundam by the numbers. So Atherin will be in red. Kira will have a standard colored new suit, a standard colored old suit. Not much will change. Kagali will show up.
For her 5 minutes.
Yeah, she'll be given something. Probably pink laying around.
She got the Strike Rouge. She piloted it for like 2 minutes. Yeah.
Yeah, it's back. But yeah, I wasn't surprised at all. I wasn't wowed, and I wasn't disappointed. It's exactly what I expected.
Shin got the Destiny back. Looks exactly the same. So I was a little surprised at that too.
And they go to the hangar, and they're like, by the way, we have your old mobile suit.
Oh, yeah.
We just upgraded them, but they look the same.
That was them leaning into the trope, right? Like, that was a wink, wasn't it? It has to be.
Now that the stakes are all present, and like it's high noon for the showdown, we have your old suit.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, God, come on.
They know. Like, they leaned into it. There's no way they wrote that with a straight face. They were laughing when they wrote that part.
By the way, underneath the act guy, we, or what was that?
It was a ZAFT, yeah.
Sorry, underneath this ZAFT, we essentially made it as a shell.
Yeah.
Around your old mobile suit, which has never been happened in any series. So I guess that's the most innovation we've seen so far.
I think they do that once in apparently Gundam, one of the Breaker shows, or one of the build shows. Okay. So one of the ones we haven't watched, but I thought that was a good idea, but I think they played it a little long. I think they should have revealed it a little sooner.
Yeah, maybe. Also, like, how does that work? Like, because there's clearly a sensor on the outside. So is that not really a real sensor? Like,
yeah, it's a good question. I think you're just not supposed to think too much about it, but
and like the way it cracked, it was like a clay pot.
It didn't seem very sturdy. You're right.
Hopefully, it was another layer of armor, though. But yeah,
I actually think the best looking upgrades to the old suits were the Lightning Buster and the Dual Blitz, and we barely saw them. They were in it for like. Yeah. I don't know, 15 seconds tops, right?
But they shined.
They were cool.
They did shine, though. Yeah.
But if you go look up the designs, they look great. I think they just came out with an HG model of the Lightning Buster. And I wish they would have put that in the movie more. I don't know.
Yeah, the Buster, like, it had a pretty cool scene taking out the ZAFT trader's ship.
Yeah.
Dierka was Dierka, as usual. I was expecting him to do the kind of whole... his one animation where he like swings his big rifle like 360 degrees or 180 degrees, but instead like now they've kind of reduced him to like 2 thigh-mounted beam cannons. Yeah. But it was good seeing them too. Yeah, they look nice.
And that's pretty much all the mecha. I mean, there wasn't a whole lot of new mecha. So
let's see. Lakoose cooking way too much food. Who parks their motorcycles next to their table? Lakoose was having nightmares too. Yeah. So continuing this nightmare thing, I thought Accords were like proto new types because they had like telepathy and they seem to also have somewhat mind control because they could do like psychic attacks on Kira and Lakoose, excuse me.
How dare you?
What were your thoughts on like the Accords having psychic abilities and then of course failing to use them in like the final battle? Really,
the wiki just does seem to say that the Accords have the ability to do telepathy amongst themselves, and then they also have the ability to influence what other people see. Like, they made Kira see Mikhail when he wasn't really there, which is a good plot point. But I didn't feel like they made it super clear that they were making him see that and that he wasn't there. I thought they were just drawing his attention to the fact that he was there and he went to go get it.
Okay.
But I read something today that said that he wasn't actually there, and you can tell by, like, the targeting things on the computer there's, like, invisible targets. Anyway.
So, wait. Mikhail lived or died?
No, he died. I just don't think he was exactly where Kira thought he was when he crossed the demarcation zone or whatever.
I don't believe you, Brian. Mikhail's still out there. He's fighting the good fight.
He's still out there in your
supporting
heart,
Blue
Isaac.
Cosmos. Yeah. One day he'll come back and he'll lead us to victory, Brian. But yeah, there was so much confusion about that scene because I didn't know if that was really Mikhail or was an illusion.
Yeah, it seems like it was an illusion by the Accords put into his head, yeah.
They didn't quite clear that up or make it specific. They didn't specify what was what.
But yeah, you're right. Their powers are very new typey. And we've already kind of established that, like, Mu is a new type.
Yeah, he seeds himself.
Yeah, and like Kira has new type flashes, and I think someone else had a new. Did Shin have a new type flash in this? So it's kind of odd that they like went and made like yet a third thing, right? Instead of just saying like, oh well, these are new types.
Accords are cyber new types since they're genetically engineered.
Well, we had the extended. So this era is filled with a lot of different special people. You have coordinators. You got the ultimate coordinator. You've got the Accords now, you got the extended, you've got new types. It feels like they should just kind of pick one and stick with it.
Yeah, don't dip into new types because that's UC territory, and just stick to your own thing, Cosmic Era.
Yeah, I feel like you want to be different. Yeah. You know, when someone looks at your show, you want to think about whatever you have that's unique, but that's what they want to do. Yeah, I don't know. The telepathy thing took me by surprise.
The psychic attacks they're able to do on Kira and other people, like, they should have kept doing that in the finale.
Yeah.
I mean, it would have made more sense to do it then, just because, you know, the stakes are high, they're trying to win. And then that could have been resolved by Kira and Lakoose. You know, their love or whatever, or their desire for freedom overcame the psychic attacks and hallucination. There you go. It writes itself.
There you go. Yeah.
But we didn't get that. So, yeah, very weird to include psychic attacks in the beginning and the halfway point, but then they just stop altogether.
Kira's arousal when he saw sexy spacesuit Lakoose just put him in another level of gear that he just could not be psychically penetrated.
Pun intended. Oh.
Hey.
Let's see, why did she leave out all the food instead of putting in the fridge?
Isaac is very concerned about the food.
Pretty much. I mean, think about it. Like, you can't just leave food out. You know, that's how the bacteria grows. You have to put it in the fridge, even if you cover it.
Oh, yeah. You got to get it in there after like 4 or 5 hours. It's got to be in the fridge.
Come on. Also wrote, was it their anniversary or something? Because I saw like a bottle of champagne or wine. But that was never addressed. And then, was it Kira who said ambition and ignorance is our enemy?
Ooh, I don't know. Maybe.
But that doesn't make sense. And the coordinators are the enemy. They're not even human, and they're filthy. Oh, yeah. Did you see how many sandwiches Kira and Lakoose brought to that picnic? They brought enough sandwiches to feel like a football team.
Maybe they hand them out to like homeless people.
Sure, all the homeless people in their beautiful,
in their luxury
beautiful
section
isolated
of the plant or whatever.
Yeah. I thought the Prime Minister might prove to be the Blue Cosmos leader, Mikhail. Because I felt like Mikhail was just saying, like, you know, General John. It can kind of be anybody, and like the whole time it would be orchestrated by him. And it kind of was, but I guess Mikhail was really an actual person that was just not so much being manipulated along the way, but just they kind of knew what he was going to be doing for the most part, and they planned around him.
Yeah, that was the same thought I had when we were actually watching the film in the theater. I assumed that it was just going to be revealed that he was Mikhail, or that Mikhail was just fake, right? And he was just planning the whole thing. So,
and then the handshake kind of was what the first attack psychically was against Kira when he meets the Prime Minister, and then for some reason Lakoose looks like she was in love when she saw the Prime Minister.
Oh yeah, I was gonna say I don't think it was an attack on Lakoose. I think she was having a good time after that handshake.
Oh wow. The young queen looks pretty creepy. She's like a evil kind of haunted horror movie child, right? She's got like red eyeshadow. Who does that? Oh, of course, it's not Gundam without ballroom dancing.
Oh yeah, gotta have a ballroom dance.
The ballroom dancing, yeah. The ball looks too nice, though, to have, like, kind of just metal trays laid out with food. The way the food was done doesn't match, like, the high status of the ball.
I'll be editing a food supercut of this episode, which is just the food comments.
It's like when Trump had like McDonald's at the White House. It's like, well, you know, you really, we have like private chefs and stuff. You need to break those out.
He was so proud of himself too. Those pictures when he lays out the McDonald's.
Because who wouldn't love a room temperature fillet of fish? Agnes was a mess. She got way too emotional and fell in love. An unneeded character, I think, ultimately. Really didn't contribute a lot. Her betrayal wasn't that vital or damaging. And at the end, her defeat didn't really do a whole lot either.
I guess her point was to give Luna Maria something to do?
Sure.
But I also didn't really feel like her hitting on Shin or Kira was ever going to go anywhere. So I don't know. You're probably right. I don't think she probably wasn't needed. Because this film had probably too many characters as it is. So if you could cut a whole character, that would probably help.
So all these little accords were Durandal's proteges, his children proteges, based on that photo. Yeah, that was weird. I wanted to hear more on that. Let's see. Second attack on Kira. I'm surprised the nuke went off. I really didn't think it would.
Well, I knew one was going to explode when they held the one back. That was a smart move.
Archangel can split in half. I thought that was cool.
It's very Star Trek-y, huh?
Yeah, the dish separates. Oh, the little sky flyer that Shin had when he has to jump out of his cockpit. What do you think about that? That little airborne kind of flyer thing that had like little, not vernier thrusters, but like he held onto it and he flew around.
I liked it. That was cool. Dangerous as hell.
I'll say this, the Universal Century has a better design because that little backpack on your back, it doesn't need a hand to operate. Shin's, though, you have to give up one hand to hold onto that thing.
Yeah.
The needle attack against Kira, I thought that was interesting. That's a new one to stab him, like the needler from Halo.
Maybe he was just playing Halo when he was like, we need that in my show.
Foundation uses enough nukes in one day to make Blue Cosmos blush. Let's see. I can't believe Lakoose betrayed them. I wrote, they shouldn't believe Lakoose betrayed them.
Oh, I agree. Yeah.
They fell for that way too quick.
Yeah, I agree. Kira was like, oh, Lakoose has betrayed us all. I was like, has she? I mean, come on.
You went through 2 wars, you fell in love with her, and you still think she betrays you when she's like thrown onto a shuttle against her will?
Right.
And then the jewels are back because that scene where the sort of escaped leader of ZAFT meets with Izak, his mom is there too.
Yeah.
Who I think should be in prison for helping Patrick Zala. Like, that was a year and a half ago.
Yeah, when you step back, a lot of time has not passed, guys.
No. It's like, you helped a coup.
She's like, but which coup?
You helped kill Lakoose's dad, essentially, right? You, backed the coup that killed him. Yeah. Why are you an authority again? Then I put, wow, a ZAFT coup again. ZAFT is horrible at stability. God, you imagine living in ZAS?
They probably just don't keep up with, whatever the latest is.
You just put your head down and you just, do your job and go home.
Yeah.
You're like, whatever they're doing, I just hope this plant doesn't shatter around me. And then once again, things got very Brave New World. The Accords. This is just Theogenesis all over again. Not sure this was the best story because it very much in a lot of ways was Sea Destiny. Again.
It was Sea Destiny 2. Destiny harder.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah, Destiny hard. Oh. This time we're going to make everybody do it. You did that last time with Neogenesis, and people still didn't go along with it.
Well, but see, Durandal, he asked nicely for everyone to follow the Destiny plan. This time, they're like, all right, we asked nicely, and you didn't do it. So with this time, we're going to, point a gun at you and make you do it.
We're going to take out someplace everybody loves. Moscow. Oh, also, did you notice when Kira was in civilian mode during his fight with Athrun, he found a jacket that had more buckles.
I did notice that he put the buckle jacket back on. That was a good
No,
callback.
this is a different one.
Do you think it has more buckles in the first one?
It has more buckles.
Oh,
he found more and added them because he loves buckling that thing up. God, it's like a straight jacket.
He must special order that jacket. There's no way you'd put that many buckles normally on a jacket.
He puts it on, he tells Lakoose, buckle me up. I feel so emotionally tied up.
So secure. It's like a security jacket.
Yeah, pretty much. It's emotional for him. It's his emotional support jacket.
For those of you who don't have a weighted blanket, I highly recommend getting a weighted blanket because they're very good.
You have a weighted blanket?
Yeah, they're great. You don't have one, they're great.
To sleep or to just have?
No, to sleep. Yeah.
Oh, wow.
They're really cool. I thought they were dumb at first, but I have one and now it's great. That's what his buckle shirt is. It's his weighted blanket that he carries with him every day.
It's not just a comforter. It's like a thinner material that's heavy.
You can get them however you like it. If you like it like a comforter, they sell those. If you like them thin, they sell those too.
How heavy is it though? Sometimes you struggle getting out of it.
I bet you there is a Gundam weighted blanket. That'll be on the next Mobile Suit Gundam showcase.
I think I need the Dagwin weighted blanket.
Wallfeld's weighted blanket,
It's like that lion print that he has on his ugly flight suit. Let's see. Kira finally cracked and got full emotional and angsty. He's right, though. This world keeps making the same mistakes.
He's right, and he can't seem to clean up the mistakes fast enough, so I'll give him that.
You know what? When we have this coordinator problem, if we kill the coordinators, I rest my case.
Yep.
No coordinators, no accords.
That's fair.
This all makes the coordinator seem even worse, which it did. Now they all just seem like a group of people constantly plotting to cause problems. Why in the name of God would no one side take apart Requiem? God, why would you just leave it there?
Yeah, I mean it's in a fixed position, so everyone knows where it is. I feel like they should be investigating it or keeping tabs on it, which lends your theory to your headcanon that they're clearly it's an inside job somewhere.
Maybe after the war, they're like, ZAFT, it's up to you. Since the Earth Alliance built Requiem, we'll leave the damaged Requiem to you to take apart. And then that guy in the Plan Council was like, I'll be in charge of this project. And they said, sure. So, yeah. This past year and a half, he's been working with Kingdom Foundation.
Okay, so here's my pitch for the sequel. Blue Cosmos is so upset that they're just like, the only way we can guarantee that Requiem will never be used is to destroy the moon. and then it will ruin all of like the Lagrange points, and all the plants will spiral out of control and just go into the sun. It's like killing two birds with one stone.
I'm curious about that. Are the plants in a fixed position because they're at a Lagrange point?
I don't know. Do we know a lot about the Lagrange points in this show? But I would assume
not as much as we do in the Universal Century.
Yeah, no, it's very clear over there. But I assume they're at those points. That would make the most sense.
Well, actually, they're not, Brian, because they use a metal mined from Mars.
Oh, that's true.
It stabilizes them in geocentric orbit.
It's very special.
Okay. Orb always getting itself into trouble. The first country that decides to do something fishy, and they did their old plan, right? Was it Seed, where they're like, oh, we're going to shoot at the Archangel as it tries to escape and say, oh, they got away, but we tried our best. You know, but to the Kingdom of Foundation's credit, they're like, this is bullshit. You're lying.
Yeah, I like that. It showed that they were serious and that they weren't dumb.
They were going to destroy them. At first I was like, why does it need 10 minutes, to destroy Orb? And then I thought they were going to, Force Awakens it.
Oh.
Back when I thought that they actually destroyed Coruscant with Starkiller, but they actually didn't. But I thought they were going to, actually destroy Orb and, really change the world of this whole universe. But no.
That would have been brave. They should have done that.
Yeah, that would have been great. But no, Orb didn't get destroyed. And, my headcanon for 10 minutes was that, they need time to get the characters off Orb. It was more that even new Requiem, fixed Requiem, they have to calculate how to hit Orb. They have to charge the weapon.
Position those little rings and all that, yeah.
Yeah, so they'll destroy it, but they can't do it instantly.
Plus, maybe new Requiem is a little janky because it's not new. It's kind of like bootleg Requiem at this point. Maybe it's just not working very well.
Oh, what was it? Atherin and Kira who get their giant backpacks back again. What were those called?
Oh, the meteors. Yeah, but other people used them this time, I think. Izak and Dirka had them first, and then they gave them over to, I think, Shin and Luna Maria to use at the end. Yeah.
Whoever gets them first, I remember they said, oh, isn't it great that these run on nuclear power now? And, I said, oh, the irony. A bunch of coordinators happy to have nuclear power.
On my back. This nuke is so...
Yeah. Say what you will about Blue Cosmos, but they don't run around telling people how to live their lives based on their genes. That's not at all what Blue Cosmos is about.
Blue Cosmos tells you what they think right up front. Yeah, they're not hiding it.
No, Blue Cosmos has a one-page agenda. It's very simple.
Kill coordinators, period.
Yeah, there's only one type of humans, and they're not engineered and coming out of, glass giant vats. Okay, let's see. God, the scene with the Prime Minister on top of her is a bit grotesque. They're getting towards a red line there, Brian.
It was definitely farther than I thought they would go.
He cooled his jets.
He did.
He was like, I'll do it. And then he was like, no.
Yeah, that was odd. I did not expect that. I feel like that was their way of guaranteeing that the audience hates that guy.
Yeah, it's pretty close, but yeah. And then here I wrote down, this is a terrible plan. It all relies on Foundation holding Requiem. That's a single point of failure, which is exactly what happened and always happens in these situations where you rely on one super weapon.
Yeah, Queen Aura, she can engineer the hell out of human genetics, but she can't engineer a good plan.
No. God. Oh, yeah. On the ship, on the Millennium, that one, petty officer on the bridge, as they're approaching the enemy fleet in Requiem, he says, don't worry, I have a new weapon. And then, the ship gets covered in, sort of crystal liquid armor.
Oh, yeah, the goo thing, yeah.
How come no one else in the ship knew about it? He did not install that by himself. That was, a massive undertaking to upgrade that ship with that armor.
He just wanted the credit for it. Maybe he ordered it, he put in, put in the requisition.
Okay. I'll take that. All right. And this gets back to you. How did the Foundation build a fleet like this and no one knew? Because at first I thought the Foundation had just like their capital ship and like 2 little frigates. And then as the battle goes on, it's like they have like 100 ships out there.
Yeah, I was very confused by the ship count in general in the film.
Yeah.
Once again, the Archangel and the Millennium Minerva, whatever you want to call it, the Kusanagi, and I guess the Eternal was out there as well, probably. They punch well above their weight. They're basically taking on everybody.
Yeah, as they normally do.
Ship count has always been a weird thing, I think, in the Cosmic Era, so I don't really get it, and I didn't really get it this time either.
I kind of would have preferred if they had just a handful of ships, because that shows it was all the more critical that they allied with ZAFT to the point of doing a coup. A very short-sighted and incomplete coup, but still a coup.
Yeah, that also makes more sense.
Yeah, that's why they absolutely needed their fleet. Not that ZAFT's fleet did much. I mean, once again, showing that they cannot defeat a massive fleet from Earth and the hero fleet.
Yeah.
Let's see. Haros. Wow, a Haro gas attack. The first in Gundam history, Brian.
There was a lot of Haro stuff in the film in general. The gas attack was a surprise. You like the Haro rice balls. I think we talked about that when we saw it in the theater, right?
Yeah, those were nice. Always good to see Haro showing up. Yeah, the gas attack, that was interesting. Like, okay, the heroes had to use a gas that would just put them to sleep and wake them up later. That wouldn't be an Admiral Isaac tactic. Yeah, this kind of turned into beating the bad guys by the numbers. The heroes are flying around. They're blowing up these massive capital ships with just like the lightest shooting.
Yes.
Oh yeah, how did Orb get a cloaked fleet into orbit? Because Requiem and the villains are supposed to be watching everything like a hawk, if you remember, and they have the Requiem ready to shoot. Is it because the villains are essentially just a group of like 5 people, and they can't constantly be looking at everywhere on Earth, so of course Orb was able to get a fleet to space.
Yeah, it could be, and cloaking is also generally like undefeated in this timeline.
Well, again, we come back to why the Earth Alliance or Blue Cosmos just doesn't send a cloaked weapon to the plants.
Yeah, just send a cloaked nuke out there.
Yeah, you don't even need a nuke, just something that can shatter that glass. They'll never see if it's cloaked.
Isaac, you need a nuke.
Yeah. Right in the middle of the hourglass. Agnes is a terrible character. Why was she created? I'm going to guess that the wife maybe had her as some sketch or draft of a character, and she's a holdover because she didn't contribute a lot, and her defeat didn't really matter a lot.
I think there's probably just a bunch of stuff left on the cutting room floor for her to make her maybe into a bigger character or something. Because, yeah, I agree. In retrospect, it doesn't feel like she had that much impact. I mean, I definitely see what they did. They wanted, like, a traitor. I mean, that's happened in other series, right? We have in Zeta, Rekoa switches sides. To your point, I don't know that at the end of the day she really heavily impacted anything.
Not only is Agnes insane, she's wearing the Compass logo on her helmet after she switched sides.
Look, she didn't have enough time to get a new one made, okay? It's a custom fit.
You know what? If they could fix Requiem in like the 20 minutes it took them to fix it, they can like 3D print a new helmet for her that matches the Black Knight helmets. Oh, when Lakoose shows up at the end, I thought she was in space without a helmet.
It did look like that, didn't it? Yeah.
Yeah, until she did like the side view. Also, her like it's too skin tight, you know, for a normal suit. So I thought that was
the
weird.
Point, but... Isaac.
Oh God. All right.
The point of this movie was that scene where she shows up in the sexy spacesuit and she says, "Kira, let's dock." That was the climax, figuratively and literally, of this film.
Speaking of dock, when she's in that cockpit with Kira, she does like a hand wave that like target locks an entire fleet. So like now they're doing like some kind of mental connection computer thing.
Yeah, she had the God mode cheats on at that point. She was like, "All right, just shoot everything. Like, we're done here."
Okay. To Foundation's credit, they fixed Requiem fast. It was ready in like 10 minutes. And then also, like, the Queen wanted to kill all the plants and Orb after the Knights died. But, like, the plants were her ally, like, 10 minutes ago. And if the Requiem plan needs coordinators in it, or at least benefits coordinators, she essentially just killed, like, 90% of coordinators.
Yeah, it's a good point. I mean, once the Black Knights died, I don't know that they really had much of the plan.
She's insane with vengeance. These giant Foundation warships are useless beetles. They're just ugly. For some reason, their bridge is at the front. and they just perform poorly.
Well, I wanted to see more of the big one, whatever it was called, the Golovig or something like that.
Oh, yeah.
Because they made a big point to tell you that it can travel throughout the solar system, but we don't actually get to see it do that. So that would have been cool. Like, maybe there should have been an intro to the movie or something and showing it traveling to, I don't know, Jupiter or whatnot.
I guess, but that's kind of useless because, as we know, there's almost nothing else going on in the solar system except for like mining on Mars to get like the one metal that they need for neutron jammers.
Yeah, it's just weird then that they made a big deal to say that. To your point, why would you do that?
It looked powerful, but
It
I have
did.
no idea why it let the Millennium get so close.
Because there's no one on the ship. It was just Queen Aura and I guess Orfei, but he left.
There were a couple guys on the bridge.
But were they bodyguards or were they flying it?
They were crew, but then again, a ship that big, like even if you have a couple guys, maybe like we'll never get the full effectiveness if we don't have that many people running the ship.
Yeah.
Lakoose asked to end the fighting so late in the battle. So many people have died, and they're like down to like just the prime minister, and she's like, "Don't you want to end this fighting?" It's like,
No, I'm all in, lady.
I like the back and forth with Shin and Moo, where like Moo's like kid, and Shin's like old man.
Yeah, good old Moo.
I'd like to see them and like Raimi kind of continue on, or maybe like Shin will become the adopted son that Moo and Raimi has never had. That'd be great. They
I
could
like
go on
that.
great
That's a
adventures.
good. Yeah, that's a good. Because he also needs a family, so
Oh, there you go. Yeah.
Sorry,
His
Shin
family.
fans.
Your family's back in that crater.
Oh Jesus.
Let's see. Wow, yeah, they literally rammed the enemy flagship.
They did.
I like how they built a ram in the ship, which this might be a Gundam first, because I don't think any other Gundam ships have like a ram weapon
No,
built in.
of course not. Because you know what?
Yeah.
Physics-wise, that makes zero sense. The ship would crumble as soon as you ran into another thing with that much force. It just wouldn't work.
I can kind of understand you wanting to ram a much smaller ship, but in this case, they were ramming a much larger
Yeah,
ship.
I get it. Like the ram would work, but your ship that you're on with the ram, that's also going down. There's no way you make it out of there.
Yeah, I wasn't a fan of the ram, and again, even if that ship couldn't like outright destroy the Millennium with his weapons, it should be able to just pedal to the metal and like at least keep pace so that the Millennium can't ram it.
I mean, that ship really didn't end up doing anything.
No, it stayed in place.
Yeah, it was just big.
It was the worst idea of a flagship. It was just, this is where we're going to run things. It's not really going to move.
Yeah, it looked very intimidating. I thought it was going to be super powerful, but yeah, they kind of just smashed it.
Second to last one, they stripped naked and went to the beach.
Oh,
my
yeah.
God. Aren't there other things to do? Like,
No, man, they're free now. They're free.
shouldn't we be in space like coordinating negotiations and the retrieval of damaged ships and talking down ZAFT and all that? It's just,
You could do that once you clear your head on the beach.
And then my last two big questions that we've kind of addressed already. So the queen was a cloned girl with memories of the original scientist, or did she reverse age? Also, I guess Mikhail got away, but did Kira really see him? Yeah, I'd like to hope that Mikhail got away. And as for the queen, we will never know what the heck was going on there, Brian.
Until we can find out more information about Lakoose Klein's mother, the official name of that character.
Oh, you have to read the prequel manga, Brian. You have to read Gundam Seed Lotus.
Gundam Seed Requiem again.
Yeah.
The first Requiem.
Gundam Proto Destiny. Oh, talk about the first days of the Destiny plan. It's a young Durandal in school. Well, Brian, that's that.
I feel so free after watching this movie, Isaac.
I mean, who wouldn't, Brian? Who wouldn't?
Overall, I thought it was a fan service movie. I enjoyed how Kira was treated. I thought Atherin had a pretty good showing. I was less satisfied with Luna, Shin, Moo. I don't think they had enough to do, especially Moo. But that's just me being a Moo fan. I guess if you don't care about Moo, you're probably okay with it. But that said, I thought it was very enjoyable to watch. It had all the right callbacks I think that Seed fans are wanting from this movie. They'd had the Badger Rule maneuver, the underwater orb escape, the free Gundams coming out from orb. They're just sitting there. They did the deuterium beam again. They had the impulse pack, Strike Rouge, the head saber was hilarious at the end with Atherin. I think it could have been a little simpler. I think maybe the mecha could have been a little stronger, but overall, I think it was perfect for what they were trying to do and for what it was and for who it was designed for. So I think it's probably one of the better Gundam films with a lot of rewatchability. Again, I think you need to watch this a few times because it does move very, very fast towards the end, and there's just a lot of cameos, especially if you're really into the Cosmic Era. So overall, I think I give it a 8 out of 10 Haros, Isaac.
Wow, that's actually high praise, Brian.
It was fun to watch.
Yeah.
I think a lot of our comments were negative, but overall, I enjoyed watching the film. I don't think a lot of our comments are meant to be negative. We just have a lot of questions that we kind of wanted answered. So
Comparing it to the Double O movie, it's Oscar worthy.
oh, of course, absolutely, yeah.
You know what? This episode ended up becoming almost as long as the movie.
That's true.
I'll say this. It's beautiful to look at, greatly animated. It's got some great battles. If you go in blind, pretty good twists and turns in the plot. Cool super weapon returning. Great great incinerations. And it's Seed by the numbers and Gundam Story by the numbers. So you know what? For that reason, I'll give it 4 out of 5 Haros.
I'm going to put that on the cover. Wonderful performances. Great incinerations.
You're going to love when that little girl's catching the snowflake and she realizes the air is charged with electricity and then the beam hits her.
So sad.
Things are about to get really warm in Moscow. Is that the sun? That's not the sun, sweetheart.
And with that mental image, listeners, we will leave you with this one.
I give it 4 out of 5 incinerated civilians.
Your little 4 out of 5 like logo is like 4 people-sized burned holes, in the out of the 5. There's one left.
No, it's like how in the movie where like you can see a person was there, but like they're like burned black, and then around them is the flame.
Oh, God.
But then like that's the first 4, and then the 5th one that like since it's 4 out of 5 is just a regular person.
4 out of 5 incinerations. You heard it here, folks.
There you go.
Let us know your comments, listeners, on the film. Let us know what you thought of the characters, the mecha. Especially if you know any of the answers to our questions. Let us know. Take us away, Isaac.
All right, listeners, before you go to sleep tonight, stand next to your bed, get on your knees, put your hands together, look up at the ceiling, and hail blue cosmos for the preservation of a blue and pure world.
Good night, everybody.